What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Once again, we are back with career mode, but this time, it's time for Monaco. The duel in the Formula 1 crown, the 6th round of the championship, and hopefully we can go on to win this race. If you remember back to Season 2, we had an absolutely stonking race. Go check it out if you haven't already. We managed to overcome all odds and win that race, despite getting a drive-through and having it all against us in the way of reliability and everything like that, but fast forward one season, and here we are with a very competitive car. We have sponsor bonus heading into this race as well. 750 points increase. We decided to dedicate that towards a minor downforce upgrade. I think it was towards the front. And after this session, a practice session, we'll get like 300 or 400 resource points. And that should be enough to get us another minor downforce upgrade. And we'll put it towards the rear. So heading into Canada, we'll have two pretty substantial upgrades heading our way. And you know, downforce not ideally the upgrade you want to take into Canada, but since we do have more downforce, it will allow us to run lower wings in order to be more competitive, which in theory will make us faster. But as you can see here, Friday practice, the conditions were a bit treacherous. The track was very green. It was pretty slippery out there, and as you can see there, we almost got bitten by the walls there. I actually made contact with inside part of the wall, and then the back end stepped out. And we almost made a meal of that, but apart from that, we got through the Friday practice sessions fairly cleanly, got all the resource points we needed, the absolute maximum. I feel like in the career modes, every race we come to, we always get the maximum apart from like Mexico, USA kind of rounds where the tire wear is really harsh and I can never get perfect scores there. That's really the only occasions where I don't get perfect scores, but here we are for qualifying, wasting no time here and getting on with the weekend. But yeah, we should be able to get through Q1 fairly easily. Like I said, this car is very competitive now, as Fernando just proves. Fastest of anyone so far in this session. I think he did a 111.0, which is very competitive, and that will safely see him through to qualifying number 2. And Fernando, in the end, ends up in 6th place. So it was 11.9, not 11.0. My preview window was very small that I looked through to commentate over. But in the end, Fernando, very competitive. And good to see that, you know, when engine performance doesn't mean much, Fernando is right up there all the time. Like Spain, he was pretty competitive. Monaco, he's always competitive. It's just a shame that, like I said, the engine upgrades aren't working for him on this game, and it doesn't look like that'll be fixed anytime soon. But as you can see here on this lap, I was really pushing with the track extremities. We actually took a bit too much liberties on the final chicane, hit the wall, and chipped off a bit of our front wing. We got massive understeer at the final 2 corners. But in the end, we scraped through and got 3rd place because, yeah, it was a really good lap. We had everything on the line there. I think coming into that lap, we were in 10th place and in the knockout zone, so I needed that lap, and I absolutely pushed it to the limit and beyond in order to get that time. So heading into Q3, the times were really close. I think the top 8 was separated by like 2/10. So pole is any man's game. It's just whoever can get the fastest lap in, obviously, and get through cleanly without crashing. But so far, we've set an 11.7. Pretty disappointing by my standards. I want to be in the 10s if I want to be challenging for pole position. In Q3, all the top teams will step up the engine mix. And we need to... Well, we can't really do that because we run max fuel mixture most of the time anyway. We just have to be a little bit smarter with the way we drive and just use up more track and just really push it to the limits. But as you can see there, we're kind of limited now by the engine. Internal ICE is gone over 50%. You get a bit of a horsepower loss. So heading into this final run in Q3, we're gonna have to carry that with this lap. So a little bit unfortunate, but we have to use this engine now so that we can get this one out of the way and have fresher ones for like Canada and Baku and all those ones. So yeah, just the way it goes with the engine reliability. But here we are in Q3. This is our final run here. I'm going to take you on board for the whole lap, and hopefully this should be the fastest lap of the weekend that we set. But so far, 4/10 up as we head through the middle sector. Really nice exit through Portier. Max fuel mixture as we go under the tunnel. And I think you can just about get to 8th gear if you get a nice exit, which we do. And braking now really hard into the Nobel chicane, 3rd gear through here, early on the power. Now coming up to my favourite corner in Formula 1, the to back corner, 5th gear, really use up all the track space to carry the exit speed. Purple through the middle sector, through the final chicane, really mount the curbing through there, millimetre close to the wall. Now coming to Rascas, second gear, get on the power early, catch the slide on the exit, third gear through the final corner. Again, millimetre close to the walls, open the DRS, and that is a lap of the Monaco Grand Prix. Is it good enough for pole though? It is not. 1/10 away from Sebastian Vettel. I love these qualifying sessions here in Monaco, when you can just push the car to its absolute limit and then see what it's capable of. I will be honest as well, I wasn't flowing the car as nicely as what I wanted to. I was using my TSPC racer again, and there was just a little bit of clunkiness in the way that I was driving. Wasn't as smooth, especially in the first two qualifying sessions. Q3 was pretty smooth, but still not ideally perfect there. But in the end there, it's second place. We're a lot closer to the front of the field than what we were this time last season, so I'm not too disappointed by that. We can still challenge on the front row of the grid. We just need to get a good start, and hopefully we can go for the win in this Monaco Grand Prix. The engine as well will be a bit of a factor. We're going to have to look after that, and hopefully we can get through without any issues. It's time for the race.
Don't try anything silly into one. It's going to be crazy in there. Just do your best to stay out of trouble.
I'm sorry, Jeff, but I'm not making any promises. This race literally is won on the first lap, and more importantly, the first corner, especially in a scenario that we're in right now with our worn engine. It's very crucial for us to hit the lead straight away, because I don't know if we'll have the pace to stick with Vettel for the duration of this race. I'm really compromised in terms of my engine. I want to use this one now so that I can have fresher ones for the more power dependent tracks. This is probably one of the few tracks where you can get away with running an engine or a power unit that's really low down on power. And the gearbox as well is coming to the end of its life as well. So if we can get through this race without any issues and a good result, then that will be a dream result for this Monaco Grand Prix. We're aiming for second, at minimum for this race, but hopefully we can still go for the win. 5 red lights for this Monaco Grand Prix, and we are underway. Sebastian Vettel gets off to a nice start, and I don't know if we'll be able to challenge him heading into turn 1. He takes the lead very cleanly there. Vettel, I was going to say Bottas, right behind in third place, really putting the pressure on as we go up the hill for the first time into Casino Square. It is second place for the taking at the moment. There's a bit of a gap kind of emerging around 10th place and behind. Looks like there's a bit of kerfuffling going on back there in the pack, but thankfully no crashes, no safety car to be found so far at the start of this Monaco Grand Prix. Normally in F1 games gone by, there's always a safety car on the first lap, but F1 2017 and 2016, the AI do keep it fairly clean and manage to actually, I say that, we have a yellow flag in the first sector. I'm not too sure what that is for. That's Kimi Räikkönen making a mistake at the top of the Casino Square. I think he's just spun all by himself. He lost the back end and then rebounded off the outside wall. That is contact between one of the Red Bulls and Räikkönen, and he's lost a bit of his front wing. Toro Rosso follows him through there as well, and that is K-Mag. Stopped. Was a bit unsure as to what to do there, but as you can see there, after 8 laps of racing already, nothing really going on at the front. Sebastian Vettel has absolutely been stretching out his lead that he has at the moment. The gap is around 5, 6, 7 seconds, and now we're already catching up to lap traffic. So these guys, I'm guessing, got caught up with Räikkönen and they had to make a pit stop, and now they've already lost the lap to Sebastian, but now they're not really too keen on letting me go through. Palmer wants this position on Ericsson so that he can get on with his race. I can understand that, but at the same time, why are you holding up a race leader? Why? I mean, it would be smarter for him to just let me go. Stay right behind me and then follow me through and then pass Ericsson when he lets me through for the blue flags. But as you can see, they're having to go around the long way through the final 2 corners. Bottas gets a really bad run, and now Hamilton is looking really threatening here up against Valtteri Bottas. Up the inside of Palmer he goes as well, and his teammate. And no, the move isn't quite on there. Valtteri was just late enough under brakes there to maintain that position. We carry on to the next lap, and now they're lapping Marcus Ericsson. He's a bit more compliant in letting those guys go through. Does he lose the place to Palmer? No, he doesn't. So very nice driving there from Marcus Ericsson to play that very tactically. For us, though, that's not so nice. Getting caught up on the exit curving of Portier there. And we just, well, that was a pretty substantial hit on the right rear tyre as we kind of rebounded on the outside there. But as you can see here, we're catching up to Marcus Ericsson. That doesn't make sense. I already let him go through. I've definitely screwed up when it comes to editing here. I've included that replay camera either too early or I've not done this right. But yeah, there you go. That's us overtaking Ericsson. At least you can see he has more spatial awareness, or just more awareness in general in the race than what Palmer did. He let me go on the straight as opposed to the middle of a tight corner. But Lewis Hamilton is in very early, considering he did start on the super soft tyres. He's actually dived in earlier than the ultra soft runners, sorry. So really interesting play there from Hamilton. He clearly felt like he was getting held up behind his teammate and myself there. Gets a bit of clean air, and now he's going to run his own race. Sebastian Vettel is also into the pits as well, and you can see he's emerged in clear air. Now Hamilton as well, really pushing hard in clear air. Bottas has made his stop. I'm making my stop as well to respond, to make sure that we don't get jumped by Hamilton. We managed to beat the Mercedes out of the pits, and now it's a case of beating Lewis Hamilton out. It's going to be close between himself and Valtteri, and Hamilton actually gets him. So Lewis Hamilton has actually got himself onto the podium now due to the undercut on his teammate Valtteri Bottas, and he may well get me as well on the run up to the Casino Square. My engine is still not faring very well. It's at about 53-54%, so a little bit down on horsepower, but everything else, component-wise, is still below 50. That won't be the case for much longer though. But as you see there, that was Fernando Alonso undercutting all of these guys, the Force India, the Haas, Nico Hulkenberg, and Daniel Kvyat, by a lap or two, and then he jumps like all of them. So he gains 4 or 5 spots there after a very slow start. He now finds himself in, I think, effectively P7. So Fernando is looking really good to get some points today. Hopefully there's no reliability issues that sets him back for the rest of it. Sebastian Vettel going fastest there with a 1 minute 12.8. We set our fastest lap 13.3. So yeah, not really there to match Vettel. He's just in a league of his own. Like I said, if I might have had a fresher engine, it might have been a different story, but that gap to Vettel and how fast he is, I think he might have won this race anyway. But as you can see here, we've made our pit stop. Unfortunately, Ericsson and Palmer haven't made their stops, and we've caught up to them again. And Palmer proving to be a real nuisance in this Monaco Grand Prix. We dive up the inside, we get him out of the way. The first overtake of the race, essentially, really. It wasn't really him letting me go. I actually had to overtake him there, and Ericsson lets me go in an awkward spot. I had to overtake him round the outside through the back corner, and it was actually very tight. We'll get a replay here. Yeah, just managed to clear him as we turned in for the apex. If his car was any further along closer to the corner, and that could have ended quite nastily there. This is ourselves going up the inside of one of the Williams. So the lap cars today, they're not really complying. They don't like letting me through, and it's a bit annoying how I have to force the overtake for them to like surrender, because they get blue flags for a lap or two and they don't let you through. You literally have to be within 2/10 for them to let you through. I mean, you could be 3 or 4 car lengths back and be physically getting held up by them, but they do nothing. They just stay on the racing line. You really have to put them under pressure as if you're going to overtake them before they'll actually let you go through, which is really, really annoying. And it's no doubt, undoubtedly probably affecting Vettel as well. I know that the player can overtake easier, so there's probably a bit of time for us to be gained there in those situations, but still, it's really frustrating nonetheless. And already we find ourselves on lap 29. Nothing really going on in this race. It was just trying to hold on to P2, just doing a mistake-free race after the initial few laps on the super soft tyres and seeing how much faster Vettel was. I kind of eased off and went into autopilot mode a little bit, just held back a little bit, just made sure that I got to the end without making any mistakes. And wow, as I say, not making any mistakes, we just go and make a huge one at the back corner, turning in just that fraction too early, hit the left rear tyre on the apex, and then hit the right rear tyre on the exit as well. So, man, we got so lucky in actually avoiding any damage, let alone losing position as well. As we slow it down, we just hit the apex of the corner, right where the wall sticks out at a little point, and that was enough to unsettle the rear end, send us into the outside bit of the wall, and that's the part where I thought we could have got a puncture on simulation damage, but thankfully we managed to get away with it. We've got away with so many little white light wall scrapes or touches over the course of this weekend, but that was the closest call we've had so far. unbelievable. You're probably asking like how I get away with it. The fact is, I like to leave a little bit of margin between the walls, and I allow for that margin to, sometimes if I overstep the mark a little bit, I'll still like kind of not make too heavy contact with the wall sometimes, and that's kind of how I get away with it, if that makes sense. So kind of pushing it like 80-90%, and then if you overstep it, you're not going to make a huge mistake, which I managed to do. But for the final few laps, I pretty much knew that I was guaranteed second place, so I thought let's do something different. I was a little bit bored, not going to lie, so I thought let's go in cockpit cam and show you guys some gameplay from this, because I see the comments every so often, especially from like new subscribers or new viewers who are not used to my channel. They say, oh, look at this guy driving in TV view, he's crap, he can't drive. Well, here you go, I'm driving in cockpit cam. I can do it, and it's perfectly fine. I'm probably just as fast with practice. But I actually prefer the TV view, and it's better for YouTube as well for you guys to see it, because you can just see more of the track, if that makes sense. But yeah, if I was a racer, if I wasn't a YouTuber, I probably would race in cockpit cam. That's the honest truth. But either way, it's the final lap of the Grand Prix now. We just have enough over Lewis Hamilton. The fact that he's on soft compound tyres as well made things easier for us, because he just didn't have the pace of a softer compounded tyre to really put us under pressure in corners. Yes, he was faster on the straights, and especially going up the hill to Casino Square, but he was never really close enough to do anything about it. I always had the measure on him, and it was really just a bit of a stalemate from here until the end. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be second place. 18 points for the championship tally. I'm not too sure what that's going to do with Vettel winning the race. It's definitely going to tighten up the championship margin a little bit. Massive loss of the back end, especially now with the tyres going off as they are. Sebastian Vettel wins the Grand Prix, so congrats to him. Deserved winner. He was massively quick, but for us today, we have survived on a really old power unit at a really difficult track. And only just making it on fuel too.
And as we can see, it's time for the podium, and as the drivers make their way out, there's a familiar red suit making its way to the top step. Fantastic win for Ferrari.
So there we go, guys. Sebastian Vettel has won this Monaco Grand Prix. Apologies about like the race itself. There wasn't too much I could do about that. I didn't have the pace to match Sebastian, so it was really just a bit of a procession to make sure I got to the end in front of Hamilton. I think we got the timing right with the not the safety car, just the pit stop. We pitted at the right time. We let Lewis have the undercut by 1 lap. I was thinking that maybe they'd get caught up in traffic, and especially if Vettel got caught up in traffic, that would have presented some opportunities. But as soon as I looked on the replay camera and seen that he was pushing in clear air, that was it. Like our chances of winning the race were pretty much over, so I had to respond on the next lap. Kimi Räikkönen, 20th place. Really disappointing day for him to make a mistake so early on. Just never had the pace to get around some of the back markers. He got caught up behind those guys. But in terms of Jolyon Palmer and Marcus Ericsson, they got a stop-go penalty for ignoring blue flags. So I was literally following them for like a lap and a half, maybe even 2 laps at one stage, and they were getting constant blue flags. You didn't see it because I cut down the footage, but I was literally following them for so long, and that's why I was a bit angry with the blue flag situation. But championship-wise, we've lost that to Vettel just by 1 point. Constructors' fight is pretty pointless. We're still holding down second, but with Fernando not getting the upgrades as it is, I don't see us winning the Constructors anytime soon. So yeah, that's one pretty frustrating side to this career mode. But nonetheless, it's been a pretty good day. Managed to get through to the end there with some very used power unit component parts. And heading into Canada, we're going to chuck a brand new power unit on, and with some downforce upgrades as well to the front and the rear. We're going to see what kind of effect that can have, and hopefully we're at least on the same kind of level pegging that we are now here at Monaco. So really looking forward to the next race. Hopefully you guys can join me for that. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more F1 2017 videos. The championship is going well so far, and if the upgrades continue as they are, and the points margin to the leaders can stay at a similar kind of level, then we're well and truly in the fight to win this championship. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.